In the last three sessions, we had a look at an important chapter, that is chapter 8, which was the system products and ICT systems, in which we had a look at the important criteria of what is locally called as L1T1, in which both the lowest cost as well as the technology play a role in deciding as to who the contract is to be given to, which is the quality cum cost based selection system. The system has its foundation in the technical products being very quickly obsolescent, and therefore a system that could provide you the technology required at prudent cost needed to be carried out. And it shows the way as to how the other products can also be bought. In the last session, we had a look at the problems and as to how the problems can be overcome. In this chapter, let's have a look at another important aspect, and this has been included in DAP 2020. It was not there in DPP 2016, which is the fast track procedure. Now, the fast track procedure is also called as emergency procurement. They're actually nothing like emergency procurement per se. There is a chapter dealing with such kind of a procurement, which is chapter 5, fast track procedure, and therefore it is a legislated way of carrying out procurement in a faster manner. This chapter has been introduced primarily for the purposes of meeting the requirements of the services, of the three services, primarily for the purpose of procurement carried out during times of crisis and other aspects that we shall see. Let's have a look at the aim, the scope, and the categorization of the fast track procedure. The aim is to ensure expeditious procurement for urgent operational requirement during war and peacetime, and for situations in which crises emerge without prior warning. Also, where timelines of normal procedure for procuring operational critical equipment impacts capability and operational preparedness. A large volume of such procurement under the fast track procedure has been carried out, especially during the time when we had the Chinese threat on our heads. A lot of questions were asked as to why can't normal procurement be carried out under the fast track procedure. Now, these 2 points of the aim of the FTP suitably amplify that you cannot carry out ordinary procurement under the provisions of DAP 2020 as legislated for fast track procedure for normal procurement. These are for operational requirement. These are for crises that may build up, similar to the one that took place when he had a standoff against China. Also for the purposes when normal procurement are impacting operational preparedness. Now, all acquisitions under the buy category, if the first 2 points of aim of FTP are satisfied, these acquisitions have to be under the buy category. There is no make. That means there is nothing like you develop it, you make it, or time. The point is time. So these are under the buy category. These could be listed or they may not be listed under the 10 years integrated capability development plan, or the defense capability acquisition plan, which is of 5 years, or the annual acquisition plan of 2 years with a 1 year roll on. So they may not be listed, so you can just take up a case ab initio under these provisions. They are both applicable for ex-import, that is foreign, also for indigenous sources also. Everybody considered is only for import items. It is for indigenous sources also. Now, wherever there are trials, field evaluation trials or limited validation trials are required for a particular piece of equipment, these cases will not be progressed under the FTP. It's obviously time. So the time taken during these trials is being saved during FTP. It is urgently required is the key point. So long lead time procurements are avoided completely. Now, this does not mean that you do not see the equipment or you do not assess the equipment. There is a procedure by which demonstrative trials by virtue of demonstration to the team that goes for looking at the equipment is permissible during these clauses. We'll have a look at it. Now, for X import, preference for the equipment oblique weapon systems are those which are already in service with our country and therefore can be procured as part of the repeat orders oblique as a fresh procurement. They have been trial evaluated, may not have been inducted, but they have been trial evaluated. These products are in service with the foreign defense forces and the capability and the performance is known, and they are widely available in the world, oblique even in the indigenous market for ready procurement. That doesn't mean that there will be a long lead time for procurement, etc. And the capabilities of this equipment are known, whether it is basically out of foreign country or in our own country. Now, what type of equipments can be procured under this? Which are already inducted in service. That means we have it and we want to go in for additional ones. New equipment can also be procured under the FTP procedure. Weapon platforms which are or even if which were in service in foreign countries and available for transfer and lease or sale. So it could also be leased, like the MQ-9 was done by the Navy ex-USA. These could be ex-stock or could be ex-fresh production. And with the case again with Israel, we took on the Spike missile and the launcher system ex-stock Israel. So that can take place also. Another category is there of tech-int equipment, technical intelligence equipment. Now, procurement of all these equipments have to follow the FTP route. That provision is there because these are highly classified equipment, faster requirement is there, and therefore these equipment per se follow the FTP route. Let's have a look at the flow chart of the complete process for the procurement of new equipment. For the acceptance of necessity, all acceptance of necessity irrespective of the finances is approved by the Defense Acquisition Council. It is based on the proposal by the service headquarters, which is approved by the service chiefs. In other cases, the service chief did not come in the chain of approval. In this case, it's specifically approved by the service chief and then gone to the Defense Acquisition Council for final approval. The acquisition of necessity statement of case includes the quantity, the mode of procurement, the SQR, that is service qualitative requirement. It could be a broad operational requirements also. You could also base it on the OEM's defined specification which are acceptable and meet the operational requirement of the services. Also the time frame for induction. Now the SQR, OR/OEM defined specification have to be approved by the service headquarters. These may be without the endorsement by the Services Equipment Policy Committee SEPC, which is authorized to approve all SQRs or PSQRs. Now these are forwarded with the proposal after approval of the service chief, and the service chief comes into the chain also in the FTP in this case. The solicitation of offer, which is also which is basically the RFP or the request for proposal, is the same thing as a single stage two-bid system. That means both the technical and the financial criteria is put into two different envelopes and given to the service headquarters, opened separately. RFP vetting and vendor shortlisting is done at the MOD/the SHQ. And what is now important is all this is the RFP is processed by the service headquarters in 10 days of the EON accord, where it was 6 months previously for the other systems. It is approved by the DG Acquisition, CISC/Vice Chief, depending on non-delegated/the delegated powers, and it is issued by the ADG Acquisition Tech as normal to all procedures. Now, these RFPs can be digitally transmitted directly to the vendor concerned/the OEM. In FTP cases of the intergovernment approval IGA route or the G2G route, a LOR, a letter of request, a memorandum or the letter of interest can be issued, which are basically done in cases of government to government cases, the IG cases with the USA. Technical evaluation, the approval of the TEC will be done within the service headquarter. However, wherever a vendor is found non-compliant, even in non-delegated cases, approval of the ADG acquisition is sought. The benchmark committee is carried out within a week of acceptance of the TEC report. As soon as the TEC report constitutes, the benchmark committee will be warned, and the minute the report is rendered, within a week of it, the benchmark committee will come in, and it is headed by the advisor cost or the director cost, depending on non-delegated oblique the delegated powers, with the representatives of the service headquarters. Now, for the purposes of evaluating of the equipment concerned, an empowered committee is formed. Please note, in chapter 3, we had a look at multidisciplinary delegation that could be formed for carrying out trials outside. Here, an empowered committee could also be formed, which is similar to the multidisciplinary committee, except that it got additional powers and it is a faster method of doing so. No trial evaluation is required. However, empowered committee may visit a vendor premises to evaluate. Basically, they're given a demonstration of the particular equipment. No GS evaluation is required since there are no trials, and the report is accepted for the DG acquisition oblique the PSO, that's Deputy Chief in the service headquarters concerned, basically on non-delegated oblique delegated powers. The empowered committee may also be authorized by the DAC, it's only by the DAC, to negotiate and conclude contracts. So a multidisciplinary team which is going out to evaluate the equipment without trials can also conclude the contract by negotiating and concluding the contract. Basically, the elements of finance, etc. of the MOD finance would also have to be added to the team to make it a full empowered committee to conclude the contract. The CNC, Contract Negotiating Committee, wherever the empowered committee has not been empowered to negotiate the contract, the CNC, as per the normal procedure, would be constituted. An oversight committee would be here also to check whether the process is followed as per the defense acquisition procedure, also to check the status of the grievances oblique complaints, and they would render their report to the defense secretary in 10 days. It's chaired by the additional secretary of the MOD and a 2-star member from the service headquarters, a JS equivalent of the DMA, Department of Military Affairs, and the rep of MOD Finance would constitute the oversight committee. The contract conclusion is after the CFA approval. CFA is as per the financial authority available, and standard contract documents are basically the same as that for a normal contract, and deviations are approved by the CFA based on recommendation of the CNC oblique the empowered committee. There are certain provisions for the FTP case. Now, for equipment oblique weapons ex import, as I brought out, demonstration by the foreign vendor to ascertain compliance to the SQR, the operation requirements oblique the OEM defined specification is allowed, and the empowered committee oblique the MTDT would basically witness these demonstrations. However, these have to be approved by the Defense Acquisition Council while taking the AON. For tech equipment, I said that all tech equipment have to follow the FTP procedure. Wherever the estimated cost of a single system is more than 15 crore or multiple equipment more than 30 crore, approval is by the Technical Coordination Group at the NSCS. They are empowered. For additional procurement of the equipment already in service, which are already inducted in service and they are available, and we want to buy additional equipment, we can go back to the OEM without being construed as a single vendor case. So no waiver is required for this. We could go directly back to the OEM itself. These could be for additional quantities of an ongoing contract, invoking an option clause up to a maximum of 100%. We had a look at option clause previously. If in excess of 100% of the previous order, the approval of the Defense Acquisition Council is required, and a repeat order provision is also there where there are no option clauses available. In this, the quantities could be more than 100% of the previous contract. Now, purchase lease may be ex stock held by foreign countries. In this, the G2G agreement to facilitate this would be carried out, government to government agreement. A technical delegation has to be appointed to ascertain the adequacy of the shelf life X stock held with a foreign country before the procurement case goes in. Waiver of procedure is by the Raksha Mantri only. In case of a government-to-government facilitated procurement, the PDI, pre-dispatch inspection at the foreign vendor's premises, may not be insisted upon. The vendor can submit his own certificate of quality, certification of his defense forces, oblique his accredited quality assurance agency before dispatch. However, in this case, a joint receipt inspection with the JRI by the team of the MOD and vendor combined in India has to be carried out. The payment due will only be at the completion of GRI and not at dispatch. The performance cum warranty bank guarantee is 10% of the contract price submitted by the vendor in FTP cases, and the liquidated damages, that is when the supply has been delayed, it is 1.5% per week, subject to the maximum of 15% value of the delayed stores. Now, in case the contract is not concluded within 6 months or within the time specifications given by the DAC at the AON stage, the case has to be referred back to the DAC. Now, there are certain termination clauses in this in which the delivery delayed for reason other than force majeure for more than 6 months, the contract could be terminated, the seller declared bankrupt / insolvent, the seller utilized services of an agent for getting the contract and paid a commission for it. Now let's have a look at what the difference in the time frame between the FTP, which is on the left hand side, and the two tables on the right hand side, which is the normal procurement. Now, where is the difference coming in the complete procedure? The procedure is almost the same. First issue is in the issue of the RFP within 10 days of the AON being taken. Next is the trials. An on-site evaluation in terms of a demonstrative trials, 15 to 45 days it takes itself. In a normal procurement case, the issue of the RFP is within 6 weeks and not within 10 days. Also, the issues of completion of the field trial, evaluation trials could go on 44 weeks to 52 weeks, including the issue of the staff evaluation, which is not there in the FTP, as well as the technical offset committee, which is 50 to 62 weeks, which is being reduced just to 15 to 45 days. Therefore, the FTP can be completed within 122 to 216 days only, as compared to a major issue of around 106 weeks for the normal procurement procedure. That is all for the fast track procedure, the basic issues about it. We can speed up the procurement. However, please note, as per the DAP provision, unless they are amended, these are only meant for critical equipment which are wanted at a time of crisis, operational necessity, and not for normal procurement. Therefore, carrying out procurement under the provisions of DAP is not allowed under this chapter unless it is for a purpose of crisis / immediate emergent capability building, unlike what people think it to be. Now we'll get on to the next session, and in this session we will take on chapter 10, which has also been newly introduced, which is other capital procurement procedures, which are primarily issues related to carrying out through the capital budget using the procedures that are there in the erstwhile revenue procurement process. This is an important chapter because it legislates as to how the capital budget can be used for such things which were earlier procured under the revenue budget only. This and earlier chapter sessions of the DAP 2020 are available in my YouTube, my Google blog, Knowledge Enabler Defense Procurement, also the featured portion of my LinkedIn account, details given in this slide. I'm also broadcasting to everybody as in the WhatsApp inbox. In case you do want to receive it, please say want to receive on my WhatsApp account on the mobile number given. I will only send the DAP sessions. Please do subscribe to my Google blog. It's free. And further disseminate the videos to whoever can do so. Please like these posts. It's encouraging. Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure. Till next time.